just occurred, and then it was part of the year that Arizona doesn't, daylight savings, so they weren't
right. We don't do any
recognizing
of that.
I know, and so kind of coming from California into Arizona and then into New Mexico all at the same time with the daylight savings change, I couldn't tell you what time it was. It was either day or night. That's what I had.
Well, we spent spring break one year up at Canyon de Chelly and up by the Navajo and Hopi reservations, and they observe daylight savings.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So, yeah. So there was this whole little time change thing going on up there too, that it was like, oh wait, we have to remember.
Oh goodness. So yeah, I mean, as far as the presentation, it's really just going to be kind of a Q&A thing. I'll kind of go over kind of what the current state is once we get a few more people on, but it's really just going to be kind of trying to answer questions that are out there. Hi.
Hi, Elaine.
Thanks for coming in. We'll wait a few minutes as a few folks join in.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
We got a few more. We'll wait a couple minutes, and then we'll get started to see if we have a few more joiners. But it's going to be kind of a real relaxed session today. Just kind of go over what's currently going on with 1,000 Trails and what to kind of expect as of today, 4/17. And then we'll just kind of go from there. Let's see. So Emma is in Arizona. Where's everybody else at? New Jersey, okay. And New Hampshire, all right, up in the Northeast. So I am in North Carolina right now, in 1,000 Trails Park in Green Mountain. It's Lenoir, North Carolina. About 20 minutes from the Blue Ridge Parkway, about 30 minutes south of Boone area. So just a gorgeous part of the country. Really excited. We'll be here for the summertime. So if you guys are headed this way, make sure you stop by and say hey. It's definitely worth at least a week of being able to come and explore. Lots of hiking, lots of outdoor kind of stuff to do. Pretty cool little park. Yeah, a lot of reservation changes here recently. There was a couple weeks there where it seemed like every day was a new day, and really weren't sure which way we were headed. So yeah, lots of cancellation changes. That's one of the good things, and kind of one of the bad things, I guess, about this lifetime is sometimes you just don't know which way the wind's going to blow, and not sure where you might be the next week or so. But I guess I'll go ahead and start. As I was saying, this is really just going to be a question and answer kind of thing. So I'll try to go through some of y'all's questions, see if I can help you guys out. First, just a little bit about me and my family. We've been on the road, me, my wife, Michelle, and my two daughters. We've been on the road for 4 years now. We've been part of Full-Time families for all 4 of those years. I really can't imagine life on the road without it. First 3 months that we were on the road, we mostly stayed in private parks, state parks, some Army Corps of Engineer parks, which we really enjoyed. But there were 2 things that we kind of were worried about when we first started. One being, are we going to be able to socialize our girls? Are they going to be able to meet friends? And the other one is, are we going to stay under budget? Because we definitely had a strict budget when we hit the road. And so the first 3 months, we kind of worried. You'd have some kids in the parks on the weekends, but not necessarily during the week, Monday through Friday. And about 3 months into it, we got to our first 1,000 Trails, and that was in Palm Springs. And we met some of the full-time families there. Actually, the deacons were there, some of the leaders of the group. Met some of the other families that we've been friends with ever since. And it was really a game changer for us. It didn't take about 3 or 4 more Thousand Trails parks before we started looking into the upgrades, the ability to save some money, and also for my girls to have friends, people they connect with, and people that they still connect with here 4 years later. It's been awesome for us. So those of you just joining, my name's Slade. Member of Full-Time Families for 4 years. I started working for Thousand Trails last summer. So a year's worth of experience on the inside, and then lots of experience on the outside as just a full-time family. We're full-timers first. The Thousand Trails thing is something that I do enjoy, and it's an important part, but we are part of the full-time family group. So I guess probably just to start out with, just kind of what the kind of state of Thousand Trails is at this moment. So as of 4/17 today at 4 o'clock, everybody is booked through the end of April. There are a few properties in some specific parts of the country where you have some of the local governments, either governors or some of the local counties, where they've extended that a little bit. I've heard a couple reports of people getting emails from some properties in Virginia. And then also on the West Coast, some of people have been extended through, I think, the 4th or the 5th. But as far as the rest of the country, everybody's still extended through the end of April, the 30th. So that would mean on May 1st, if everything still is positive and we don't have any large changes, the plan is that we're going to open up the parks. Now, I don't think that they're going to be able to just flip a switch and open them all up. And this is just kind of my personal opinion of the situation. I kind of think that we're going to get out of this kind of how we got into it, where you see certain regions who are doing a little bit better with the virus. And as far as the infection rates and the death rates, you're going to see those governors and some of the local governments start relaxing some of the restrictions. And so that's going to allow us to do a little bit more in our parks. So as we kind of started this, you had some parks putting in restrictions a little early, and then the rest of them kind of came along. I think coming out of this, you're going to see some parks starting to open up a little early, and then some of the other ones maybe having to wait before they can open up. But what I would advise right now is that everybody go ahead and have plans for May 1st. If you are a upgraded member, so you have the park-to-park stay privileges, you're going to want to make reservations at another park. You're not going to be able to allow to stay in the current park you're at if they fully open. Now, this could change at any time. They could decide to go ahead and extend this extension period, and that would just kind of cancel those reservations. But you want to go ahead and have something on the books. If you're a camping pass member and you've got the 2 weeks in and the 1 week out, if they do open up the majority of the parks in their area, then you are going to have to be out of the system for a week before you can come back in. So you want to make sure that you have some plans for that first week in May. And like I say, we're going to try to bring the information to you guys as quickly as we can through the Full-Time Families Thousand Trails Facebook group. There's also, if you go to the Thousand Trails website, you'll see the COVID-19 link to their most update restrictions. So you can refer there. Also, the official Thousand Trails Facebook page, they've been posting a lot of information there. So as we kind of get this, that's going to be, we're going to try to get that out to you guys as quickly as possible. I know it's frustrating not to know, but they're trying to open these parks in a way that are going to not only satisfy the members, but also satisfy the local governments so that we keep in good relations with those guys. We can take questions if you want. You can just pop on, unmute yourself, or if you want to put it in the chat, I'll be happy to answer those questions. Anybody have any questions about kind of what's currently going on or what they need to do as far as having reservations after the beginning of May? Is everyone on the call, are they currently Thousand Trails members? Is anybody, I guess the better question, is anybody not a member of Thousand Trails?
Hey Slade, Amy and Tyler here. We're actually nice to meet you. We're new members. We did stay at Thousand Trails back in the fall, but we were just supposed to launch a week ago, so we're waiting to launch. Okay. We have a question. We have the membership where we're 2 weeks in and 1 week out, but we are interested in possibly upgrading. I don't know if you could give us some insight as to what that other membership looks like.
Yeah, so our upgraded memberships, basically you guys have already got the base membership, that camping pass, and then you're just going to upgrade from there. And basically the major benefits over what you have now and what you're going to get are going to be how far out in advance you can book, how long you can stay, and the ability to go park to park. So currently the camping pass you can book out 60 days. You can stay in a park for 14 days, but then you have to be out of the system 7 before you can go back in for 14. So when any of our upgraded memberships, you're going to be able to book either 120 to 180 days out. So you're talking either 4 to 6 months. You're going to be able to go park to park. You'll be able to stay 21 days. When we first started out, and I think a lot of people, you kind of get going and you want to go see and do. And so you're going fast. And then you kind of turn around and realize that, hey, we were there, but we really didn't get to explore as much as we wanted to. You arrive on the day and it's all about setting up. You're only there for 4 days. One of the days is about breaking down. And then you also have to squeeze in some work there and then go try to see a couple national parks. And so that can get a little hectic. So everybody will find their own rhythm. We enjoy the ability to stay 21 days. We really started to kind of get the itch around day 12 as far as going somewhere else, but the ability to be able to stay there 21 days was huge. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons that people in the Full-Time Families group, go to those upgraded ones. There's obviously some cost benefits involved. You're not having to pay for that week out. Those weeks out can get expensive pretty quickly, especially when you start tacking on any kind of trip charges. I drive this big old 350 diesel truck, and so we go through $100 worth of gas going to the grocery store, it seems like sometimes. So that kind of starts to add up. So the ability to book out further, the ability to stay in the parks for 21 days, and then not having to worry to be out of the park. And we obviously, probably don't set out on this adventure to say, hey, we want to go and stay in Thousand Trails parks all the time. And we didn't. But the ability to manage our budget at the Thousand Trails parks. So if we want to be in Thousand Trails parks for 3 or 4 months, and then we go into an area that maybe doesn't have Thousand Trails parks, well, we've saved that money and we've been able to put that money towards that expenditure. Maybe you just want to go stay at this really fancy resort park down on the beach, but it's $300 or $500 a week. If you save a bunch of money with Thousand Trails, then you're obviously going to have a little bit more to put towards that kind of stuff. Sure. There's a lot of other benefits that are involved there as far as family benefits and cabin benefits. You've got some add-ons as far as like RPI and trails collection. But I don't want to get too far into it right now.
Do you happen to know the cost of, I'm sure we can look it up, but off the hand, do you know the cost to upgrade?
If you want the pricing and everything, or if you want a little bit more information, if you go to the Full-Time Families website and go to the Thousand Trails Park, there's a form. If you fill out that form, me or my partner Eric will get back with you, and then we'll go over what the latest sales are and everything. Okay. We try not to do prices out in just a group like this because prices change daily sometimes. Right. But what I can tell you is that they do finance. Basically, the way the upgraded ones work, you have this one lifetime membership fee. Now you can always pay that all up front, or you can finance that out over 5 or 6 years, right? You also have dues on that. So you would have annual dues outside of that membership payment each year. Those dues can go up yearly, and they base that on the CPI. So it just depends, each year. Sometimes they might adjust yours every year. It could be every other year. The only other yearly fee that you'll get outside of just the dues, there is a yearly assessment fee. This is a fee that they assess to their members. It helps spread some of the costs that they can't foresee. Drastic changes in utility fees, drastic changes in insurance costs, or some sort of a disaster type scenario where a park has, was hit by a hurricane or some sort of flooding, something that they just can't predict. It's just an easier way to try to spread that out. As far as I understand, since I've been a member the last 4 years, my assessment fee has been like $65 a year outside of the dues. So very reasonable. From what I understand, that's been kind of the history of it. But outside of that, there's not going to be any other fee. So you've got this one initial lifetime membership fee, and then the annual dues every year. What I can tell you is that, for the most part with pricing and any kind of sales, you'll have, if you wanted to finance, you can get in at 10% down. And usually you can keep those payments between your membership payment and your annual dues payment. If you divide it into 12 months, you can get in for as little as $200 or less per month if you want to do that financing.
And then is it work the same if you want to add on, like adding regions and things like that?
I apologize. Yes, no. Once you upgrade, you have all of the regions
throughout the country.
The zones go away once you upgrade. So you have all 5 zones.
Okay, so it really is. I mean, it's a huge benefit then. If you can manage it, then
definitely. Yeah.
All right, because our intentions are to travel the country, so obviously this is something that will probably behoove us to do.
1,000 trails. So, I think it's a good idea. Thank you so much for spending the time and explaining that, and we'll definitely fill out that form.
Okay, yeah, fill that out, and we'll get in touch with you guys, and we can kind of go through. 1,000 Trails has been a huge advantage for my family personally, and I know a lot of families out there where it's been a big game changer as well. But there's a lot of families out there that it hasn't worked for as well. It's not a magic pill all the time. We don't have campgrounds in all parts of the country. If you spend all of your time in the Dakotas and Montana and Colorado, we just don't have any properties there, so it could be difficult. But the one thing I'll say about that is if you are ever going to be in the areas where we have 1,000 Trails and are going to use them at least a couple weeks a year, then the memberships are going to make sense for you.
Definitely.
We want to join that the winter in Florida group because that looks like fun.
Yes, well, yeah, winters in Florida can be fun for a lot of reasons.
Especially when it's April and it's 24 degrees in New Jersey. So yeah.
Yes. The one thing that and this is something that might come up here, we do have high use restrictions on certain parts of the year. In Florida, high use is from December 15th through April 1st. And during that time, no matter what level of membership you have, you can only stay for 2 weeks in the 1,000 Trails parks, and you can only have 2 reservations on the books at a time. So know how far you can out. And the reason for that is basically you have the whole eastern side of the country that wants to congregate in a 300 square mile area in Florida. And the only way to kind of cycle it through and make it fair for all the members is to put those kind of restrictions on.
Sure.
If you're going to try to do the winter in Florida, adding the Trails Collection. Trails Collection, that's a group of our sister company, Encore Parks. Basically, our company, ELS, Equity Lifestyle Properties, they own 1,000 Trails, and then our sister company, Encore. Encore has about 200 RV properties. They don't have a membership base. It's just a pay-as-you-go. You want to spend 3 nights, you pay for 3 nights, right? With any kind of 1,000 Trails membership, you can get a 20% off discount for a nightly rate if you go through that rvonthego.com with your membership number. you'll be able to get that 20% off. But a couple years back, they decided to group about 100 of those properties together and offer it as an add-on to the Thousand Trails members. And so it's $299 this year. And so you add that on, and those other 100 sites, you can stay up that 2 weeks. You'd have to be out of the system for 1 week, but you can go back in for 2 weeks. So
that collection is worth every penny.
Mm-hmm.
Totally is.
It's good to know.
Yeah, especially
Tyler,
in Florida.
I just wanted to comment that we have gone across country and primarily stayed in Thousand Trails. We got a elite membership, so we are 21 days in park to park, so we don't have to have any out of park days. So we went from New Hampshire down the East Coast, across the southern states. We did a little dance to Las Vegas and all that, then California, and went up to Washington. And we didn't pay for a single night on that whole trip there. But once we got out of Washington and we started heading back at the northern part of this country, there's not a lot there. So it's hard to find a Thousand Trails in that way. But it was definitely worth every penny that we paid for it.
All right. So, yeah, the Trails collection, and definitely depending on where you are at in the country, can make a huge difference. Florida in the wintertime, it's really a no-brainer. I don't like using that, but it's something that you want. You go from having 3 parks to over 30 parks that you have access to. When people want to winter in Florida, you want to be persistent. You want to book out as far as you can. You want to be patient because you have everybody in the East Coast trying to go down there. But people do it every year. It's a little bit more of a hassle than the rest of the year, but it can be worth it if you're looking for that nice weather. We've got a couple questions in the chat, so I'll go to it. Looks like Elaine has a 120-day booking window, but is getting an error because he can't book out Moody Beach in 60 days. I'm not sure why it wouldn't let you do that. So what I can do is I'll just make sure that I have that, and I can post that if I come up with a question or an answer for that question. Emma, husband just retired. I heard something about freezing dues. So yes, if you have one of our upgraded memberships, you can freeze your dues at 62. So when you turn 62, whatever your dues were, so if your dues were $5.99 this year, you could freeze those so that they won't increase anymore throughout the life of your membership. All you'd have to do is get with Member Services. They're going to require a copy of your driver's license, and you basically will just send that in, and I think you have to fill out a little form, and then they'll freeze those for you. Okay, and then it says Forest Lake is not taking reservations until 5/28. As we talked about a little bit earlier, they have not given an overall direction as far as what the Thousand Trails are or aren't going to do as far as May comes. And me personally, I believe that we're going to come out of this with each park and maybe areas and states of parks doing things a little bit differently. Some might start taking reservations a little early, and some might have to wait a little bit longer because of those localities. I have not. This is the first time I've heard of Forest Lake. I know that Forest Lake is in North Carolina, but I will see if I can get a little bit more information on that. I know I watched the governor's address the other day, and he had stated that he wasn't sure what he was going to do, basically, when it came to May 1st, as far as his decisions. But what he did say was that he was probably going to start loosening some of the restrictions in a slow pace. So you might have congregations go from 3 to 10. Maybe you now can go into a restaurant, but there's only limited seating. So you're talking about maybe like a fast food place where they've got, a lot of their tables either missing or, taped off. So it's going to be kind of a stair step issue. We're kind of in a wait and see mode to see what some of these governors, are going to do. Stay tuned as this information starts coming out. If you do, I would ask, anybody on the call, if you get an email or a call directly from one of the campgrounds, if you would go ahead and post that to the Fulltime Families 1,000 Trails group, that would be very helpful. Sometimes those individual parks will get information before the general group does, before the sales group does. So anything like that we can post and start investigating, the sooner the better. So I appreciate that. Elaine M., high use. Yes, it could be possible on that. Don't know if I've got my high use chart right here. Let me just check real quick and see if I do. Okay, yeah, I don't have it, but I'll check there. If you look in, if everybody is wondering about when is high use and what, when campgrounds are open, when do they usually close? This is in normal, not what we're talking about right here. If you go to your contract, it's usually the page after there's a map of the country. It's going to have all the closings as far as seasonal closings, which one's closed for winter, what time they open. And maybe if they're just weekends. And that's also going to list all of the high use restrictions for any of the parks. But I'll check on that Moody Beach and I'll get back with that one.
I just wanted to tell you that I was looking at my emails just now, and my reservation at Forest Lake was booked a while ago, but it was for May 27th to June 17th. And they canceled it on April 4th. That's so I was after you said you thought maybe May 1st, I went to go in to see if I could rebook, and it's the website is saying the 28th.
Okay, so right now the website is the 28th would be the first for Forest Lake.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, it'll probably change tomorrow, but
well, that's the first that I've heard of that. Up until now, you've been able to make reservations starting May 1st. I know at the park that I am right now, we've got a lot of reservations for May 1st. We haven't had any information from corporate as far as that changing right now. So it might be a situation to where maybe the county itself locally has decided to do something that has caused that property to have to make some changes. But I'll definitely try to get a little bit more information on it, because since that's right down the road.
I'm not sure what county they're in. And they're just south of Winston, so they might be in Forsyth. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, I know the sales team down there pretty well, and so I'll see if I can get a little bit more information out of those guys on what's going on with Forest Lake. I know that, like I say, some of the Virginia properties, people have gotten letters and emails already. Their governor was one of the first ones to put out, a stay at home or stay in place order, and he put his all the way through June 10th from the start. So that was always going to be some special cases for those properties in Virginia. So we'll kind of see how that goes. But I guess the main point right now is, no matter where you're at, to go ahead and have some plan for May 1st in case they do decide to open up those parks. And then, hopefully as this week goes on, as we get into next week, we're hoping to get a little bit more direction on what we can do. Let's see if we have any other questions. Okay, so no other questions right now. All right. One of the things that I get a lot of questions about is kind of RPI. What's that about? It's included in the upgraded memberships, and it could be a good source for other discounted opportunities for travel. I don't know about you guys, but I love my RV, but the fact that I can't leave my RV, those four walls are starting to close in a little bit. Some other opportunities to get out and enjoy once this thing kind of clears up are starting to sound really nice. Most people know that with the Resort Parks International, it's a third-party company. They don't own any campgrounds or condominium or cruise lines, but they have reciprocal programs with those campgrounds and cruise lines and condominiums for discounted rates for their members. So for us full-timers, they've got another 200 campgrounds out there that you can get discounted rates at. With the Elite Basic, you get 1 free year. And then with the Elite Odyssey, the Odyssey and Elite Connections, you get 2 free years of the RPI. So with those campgrounds, you've got, I would say, probably about 60% of those campgrounds, you can get in there for like $2 a night. Some of them you can stay 7 nights. Sometimes some of them you can stay 14 nights. And those kind of help fill in some of the holes of the country that you don't have 1,000 trails. So if you've just recently upgraded or you're thinking about upgrading, definitely something to look into. If you want, there is some login information where you can log into the RPI site and then go ahead and kind of look at it. Looks like I got a question here. I'm so sorry, I totally missed answering my question, but I would really like to find out more about options as far as TT memberships. Okay. As far as if you're interested in some of the specific memberships and what might work for you, then there's a link that Nicole put in the chat. If you would go there, there is a form that you would fill out, and then me and Eric will get back to you. We try to get back to you guys within 24 to 48 hours. Then we can kind of talk a little bit more on a one-on-one basis as far as your situation and what's going to benefit you the most. Okay, you're the one with dues at 62. Okay. So yes, if you have one of the upgraded memberships, you have to pay yearly dues. Those dues do go up most every year. And then you can freeze them once you get to 62. So if you have 2 members on the contract, it's the first member to get to 62, not both members. And once the first member gets to 62, you just contact member services. They're going to ask for a copy of your driver's license, and then they're going to go ahead and freeze those dues. So basically whatever they're frozen at. So if they were frozen this year, most likely they're going to be close to $5.99, depending on how long you've had your membership. And that would be that number for the rest of your the membership that you have. Did that answer your question? All right, so I'll get back to talking about RPI just a little bit. Just want to make sure you guys get everything out of these memberships that you can. Outside of the campgrounds, they also have some really good deals on condos. And so no matter which upgraded membership you have, you're going to have access to these discounts on the condos. So you're talking all over the country and also all over the world that you're going to have discounts on these condos. I'm just going to read a couple of them off because they're pretty significant. These are from members who actually booked through RPI in the month of March in 2020. So we had one member for a condo, Snow Lake Lodge in Big Bear Lake, California. It was 1 bath, sleeps 4 condo. Regular rate was $1,490. They paid $199 for it. So they had almost $1,300 in savings by going through their RPI account. let's see, we had one in Lake Arrowhead, California. They booked, it was a 3-bathroom, slept 8. Normally it was $2,100 for that time frame. They paid $299, so they saved over $1,800. So if you are wondering, hey, what other vacation am I going to do? We're kind of living in RVs, and we're kind of living in our vacation. When are we? What are we going to do to maybe take a break? Then maybe one of these discounted condos through RPI might sound good when one of these things are over. Did anybody have questions on the Resort Parks International? Basically, there's a couple different levels depending on how many benefits you want. The Elite Basic comes with the Preferred Gold RPI membership. So that's the first year is free, and then subsequent years, it's just going to be an add-on. You get to decide whether you want to continue that or not. The Preferred Gold is $165 to continue. And then the Elite Connections and the Ultimate Odyssey, that's going to have their connections membership with RPI, and then that's going to be $195 to continue. You can decide if you don't want it, you don't want it. You just let them know. There's supposed to be a reinstatement fee of $150 if you have discontinued it and then want to do it again. But from what I've heard on the street, that they've kind of waived that. And they haven't been charging that to reinstate. So if you've let it slide and hadn't been using it, but it might be something that's in your plans for this year, you can always give those guys a call. They have contact information on their website. That website is resortparks.com. So let me type that on there. Okay. And if you have the RPI and you're not really sure what all the parks are included or what some of your benefits are, you can use your login information to go in. If you don't have RPI, they have kind of a trial login information where you can go in and just play around on their website. So if you're interested in adding it back, or you're talking about maybe doing an upgrade and including it, and we're just wondering what parks are included, I'm going to put the information right here in the chat. So user All right, so PA login at palogin.com, and the password is just PA login. You can go on there and check out some of their campgrounds and some of their cruise and condo information. But definitely can be a huge benefit to being a member of the upgraded ones. Okay, so we are kind of getting into the summertime area. If nobody has any questions, then we can talk a little bit about the holiday reservations. This is another one that kind of comes up a lot. For Thousand Trails, there's a limit on how many reservations you can have for holidays. The only 3 dates that are considered holidays for Thousand Trails are going to be the 3 big summer ones. So you're talking Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day. For most of the contracts, you can only have one of these on the books at a time. So whether you have 128 days or 180 days or 60 days booking windows, you can only book one at once. So if you have Memorial Day booked, as soon as you book, check into your Memorial Day reservation, then you can then book your next one. There's a couple ways to kind of do this. What worked for us, we have a basic membership, and so we have the 120-day reservation. We would book Memorial Day, and then the 4th of July, we would plan to spend somewhere else. Okay. And then as soon as we booked into Memorial Day, then we would book our Labor Day. And that seemed to work pretty well. Other people have some other tricks. I know some people will book Memorial Day and then they'll kind of book maybe like 10 days right up towards the 4th of July holiday. And as soon as they book in Memorial Day, they'll just try to add on those days for the holiday weekend. And so that's kind of worked for some folks as well. Sometimes it's easier to just add on a couple days than to try to get a big block of 2 to 3 weeks around some of those holidays. Anybody have any questions on the holiday bookings? All right. Do I have any experience with them internationally? I'm assuming that's considering with the RPI, the Resort Parks International. I don't have any personal experience with them. We do get kind of updates with some of their condos and cruises that they've booked for members, but I don't have any personal experience with those guys. The team over there at RPI are really good at what they do. They're basically travel agents. So contacting those guys, getting on the phone with them, telling them what you want, what you're looking for. They've got a lot of experience in this. And I've always heard good things and results from people that have gone through RPI. Currently, right now, their office is closed, but their agents are working from home. So they can be reached either through the website or through the phone. The only thing that they're not doing is if you just signed up, they're not able to print the membership cards from their home. You are able to print a temporary membership card from their website if you log in. But other than that, they're still fully functioning right now. Let's see. We stay at an RP resort in Canada. It works same as U.S. reservation. Yep. Yeah, RPI, they do have, right now, Thousand Trails has one campground in Canada, in BC, also in that area. And then there's a couple around the Great Lakes. RPI does have some that you can access. Those are going to work the same as the U.S. reservations as far as campgrounds are concerned. They don't think they have any in Mexico. As far as campgrounds, but as far as condos, they've got those all throughout the world. All right. Anybody have any questions on maybe the Trails collection? I know one of the things that we run into a lot with the Trails collection and some of the families on the road is that there are some of the properties in Texas and Arizona with age restrictions. So you've got 100 properties part of the Trails collection. And then there are about 20 or so of those properties in Texas and Arizona that are age qualified. So you have to have a member of your group that's 55 and over to be able to book into those properties. Slowly, some of the properties in Arizona have started to allow some families to come in. The 3 properties that I hear the most are going to be the Foothills Village in Arizona. Or in Yuma, I'm sorry. And then there's Mesa Spirit in the Phoenix, Tucson area. And then also Voyager in the kind of Tucson area. Those properties, basically what you want to do is go ahead and make a reservation online and then go ahead and call the properties. And you'll need to let them know, hey, I'm coming in this day. I have this reservation. And this is my family type and size. And then they will just let you know if that's going to be okay for you guys to come in. Emma, it's very limited if you can. There's only a couple properties that allow it, and they only allow it at specific times. I did a lot of research on the Arizona properties and the laws behind it, because basically it's kind of discriminating on age, right? But back in the Bill Clinton administration, they assigned an amendment to the Constitution saying that they can discriminate on age in these RV parks. With these RV parks, especially in Arizona, they get certain benefits tax-wise and everything to stay these 55 and over parks. So a lot of them want to keep this designation. The The laws state that at least 80% of their sites have to have at least one 55 or over person in order to keep that designation. How those campgrounds decide to manage the rest of the 20% is really kind of up to them and handled on a property by property basis. So some of them, like the 3 that I mentioned, will allow families in depending on what their occupancy is. The other ones, you might see families in there who are just paying retail and they're just allowing those in there. There's going to be some that don't allow anybody in that's not 55 or over. So let's see. Sonora, somebody said that they have some, have had some luck with. So yes, all of the Trails Collection properties, the contract for those properties says only 6 guests are allowed. Whereas the 1,000 Trails, if you have a 1,000 Trails membership, we allow up to 10 people on our sites. Those properties only allow 6. And then each property is going to decide what they're going to want you to do if you have more than 6 people. Some of the Encore properties will charge you a per night, per person extra charge. Some properties are going to want you to lease another site to accommodate the other people in your group. So if you are a family that's traveling with 7 or more people, then the Trails Collection might not be something that might be best investment for you. It's just going to be kind of on a case-by-case basis. If you have 7 or more, what I would advise, you can add on the Trails Collection at any time during your membership. So as you get close or you want to start thinking about an area that has a Trails Collection property that you're interested in, you could always call that property first and see what their regulations are as far as 6 or more. If it's going to be more financially beneficial to get the free stay plus whatever is added on versus the $299 that you're paying for the Trails Collection, then it might be in your best interest. But anybody with 7 or more people out there, you really will have to do a little bit more digging on whether that Trails Collection is going to be beneficial to you or not. The other thing with all the Trails Collection parks, no matter what membership you have, it is just a 60-day booking window on those. So even if you have 120 or 180 day, it's just going to be 60 on those Trails Collection parks. All right, so we're kind of coming up on our hour. We only got a few minutes left. Is there any other topics that somebody would like to ask a question about? If you look about halfway up in the chat, there is that link. If you want a little bit more information concerning your specific situation and how 1,000 Trails will benefit you, please fill out that link. There's a form there, and then me or Mr. Eric Benson will get back with you guys. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions come up. Somebody have a question? All right. So if no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and finish this out. You can always, if you aren't interested in a membership, you already have a membership, if you just have some questions about some specific campgrounds, always feel free to reach out through me, through Facebook, Messenger. Happy to help. It's not just about, doing new memberships. It's about taking care of the members that we already have. So if you ever have questions, always try to reach out and we'll try to get those answers for you. So I appreciate everybody coming on today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's great to see everybody. I've been seeing the same faces, same lovely faces, beautiful family, but it's nice to see some other full-time families out there thriving. So Thank you guys very much. You guys stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope to see you guys down the road soon. Okay.
You too, Slade. Good talking.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Slade, for answering those questions on 1,000 Trails. So then this recording will be in the group as well, so people will be able to watch after if they need. So thank you so much for that.